Contessa.
Cameron, President Obama admits his $75 billion plan won't save every home. But today, lawmakers and economists are picking through his proposals, raising some serious questions about who it's going to help and whether this thing will work. Here's what the president said yesterday.
If we act boldly and swiftly to arrest this downward spiral, then every American will benefit. And that's what I want to talk about today. The plan I'm announcing focuses on rescuing families who played by the rules and acted responsibly.
Maryland's Democratic Congresswoman Donna Edwards backs the plan. New Jersey's Republican Congressman Scott Garrett does not. It's nice to have you both with me today. Let me start with you, Congresswoman. Do you think that this plan really addressed the core issues that are plaguing the housing market?
Well, I do. I mean, clearly we have to do a lot more to stabilize the housing market. But, you know, first of all, we've got to stop the onslaught of foreclosures. It's hitting every community across the country. And when home values plummet in a neighborhood because foreclosures are happening, then it jeopardizes everybody, even those of us who are playing by the rules. And so I think it's an important plan to move forward to stabilize the housing market, to ensure that people are staying in their homes, and you know, to make sure that then banks and lending institutions are making responsible lending decisions.
It seems to me like that's an obvious, right? If your neighbors are being foreclosed on, Congressman, of course your property values are going to plummet. What's your problem with this plan?
Well, it's the same problem that some of your previous guests just had on this, and I'm getting calls already from constituents and saying, I've been playing by the rules. I took out a mortgage I could afford. I didn't get a zero down payment. I didn't do a no doc loan. I've been paying for years on time. This plan does nothing for me. Matter of fact, I will now be subsidizing the guy across the street who did a zero down payment, no doc loan, bought a house bigger than he could afford, took equity out of that house, went on vacations, bought a boat, bought the car. I'm going to subsidize him, they're asking. What are you doing for me? And this does absolutely nothing for him, that homeowners. We're getting calls from people like that now.
A more specific concern here, Congresswoman, and I heard it from my producer earlier, is are the guys who are not making their payments, did not plan ahead, put an expensive pool in their backyard when they couldn't afford the payments anyway, are they going to get a better interest rate and more affordable mortgage than the guys who have cut out the coffee every day to make sure that they can pay their mortgage?
Well, what's going to happen under this plan? First of all, there are going to be a set of guidelines, and so I think the president was right. We are not going to save every single home, but we're going to look at responsible homeowners who, you know, many of them are underwater for very different reasons that have nothing to do with a pool and living beyond their means. They may have lost a job, they may have had, you know, some kind of a medical emergency or situation, and their homes have lost more value and are worth less now than they're currently paying on their mortgage, and so it will allow them to refinance, which is really important to stabilize the market.
Let me show, while you're talking about it, we have a pie chart actually that shows 52 million homeowners here, 13.8, oh, that's 27%, more than their homes are actually worth. And so you've got a massive portion of the U.S. Homeowner population who are struggling. Here's what the New York Times' Frank Rich had to say to Rachel Maddow.
I think that they're completely adrift from the American people. This is a country in a serious economic crisis. People are frightened. They may not agree with everything the president is saying, but they want action. And here you have an obstinate, obstructionist party with no ideas, just sound bites that they repeat over and over and over again.
Do you think, Congressman, in this case, that Frank Rich has a point? I mean, you were just telling me that in your district, people are relatively well off, and so maybe they're not struggling with the same kinds of issues that plague many Americans.
Well, the people are still struggling. People are losing their jobs. Maybe their foreclosure rate is not as high as in Florida or Arizona, what have you. But, you know, across the country, 90-some-odd% plus are making ends meet. They're doing just what you're saying, not going out to Starbucks, not making the extra purchases, you know, eating in, not going out. They're making the hard decisions. And they're also doing what Susie Orman was just saying earlier on in the program. She says, paying down the mortgage, you know, don't do those things, spend down, pay down your mortgage. They did all the right things. This plan does nothing for them except to tax them more to subsidize those people who maybe made some bad decisions.
Congressman Garrett, it's good to have you with me today. And Congresswoman Edwards, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Contessa.
As well. We have some breaking news coming into us right now from the state of California. That's a state that has truly struggled. Billions of